I guess I'm going to start recording now.
You have not been recording?
No.
All this stuff I just said, that was awesome. You didn't record?
Didn't get any of it.
Wow. What are you doing? Sorry. You're being weird.
I heard they were giving out Oscars for this these days. Just trying to get myself a podcasting Oscar.
Listen, as a fat guy, totally offended right now.
Nerd!
Stop.
It is a lot of work.
Fucking stop. You can away my spotlight right now.
Oh, should you be doing this?
As a fatty, a real fatty, I'm offended that you're pretending to be a fatty.
Do fake fat people offend you?
I really don't care. I'm just trying to play along here.
That's the question we have for the podcast today.
Drinking this fucking hippie drink that you brought in.
It's 8 calories, man.
Spindrift.
Good for you. Let me just poop this thing out.
Sparkling water.
Okay.
With a real squeeze of fruit.
For our audio-only listeners, go to YouTube to find out what I just did.
Is that like a jacket or something?
It was a pillow.
Why do we have a pillow here?
I brought it.
Just for that?
Just for that. Yeah. Because the topic today.
It's called a prop.
The topic today is why Hollywood typecasts / hates.
Is that what it is?
Fat people. Yeah, because Brendan Fraser. Fraser?
Razor.
Brendan Fraser. I can't say it.
Zer.
He played an obese person in the new movie The Whale.
Yeah.
Right? And apparently there's been some backlash.
Well, listen,
about him not actually being a big guy.
Brendan Fraser needed to play the role. Number one, because Brendan Fraser's awesome.
Right. Everybody
and he's in the middle of his
resurgence.
Renaissance.
Renaissance.
His Travolta era, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But secondly, he needed to play this role because they needed somebody that could actually finish the movie who was that large to play the role without having to die and get a crane to come in and carry him off.
Wait, did you guys both watch the movie?
No.
Oh, neither of you did.
I saw some clips, but it was honestly it's too sad for me to watch.
It's a very sad movie.
I joke, but that movie terrifies me. As a fatty,
yeah,
I don't need to see other fatties. I don't watch shows like My 6,000-Pound Life on TV for a reason because I can't stand to see it.
It's a weird trend, right? Those are like reality TV shows that people are just like fascinated by watching.
As a big person, okay, I'm 100 pounds overweight, probably more. It's not something that I'm really particularly interested
in seeing,
seeing or having glorified. And I personally know that I am a unhealthy, obese person who could have a heart attack and die at any point. Like literally.
That's why I have you drinking.
5 seconds from now, I could go and be over. I understand it. So I don't think that lifestyle should be glorified. So these people with this body positive bullshit, and all these fat fucking cows that are all over internet and Instagram and stuff, they piss me off.
Because it's not healthy.
They piss me off because they're unfucking healthy.
So there's two different things that I see in the pop culture world, right? Is you got the body positive people who are like, you can be as big as you want, it's okay. Yeah. And then you've got Hollywood who's like, we can't have anybody over a certain weight do any roles and have them as a sex symbol.
We've got Hollywood giving people like 500-calorie diets.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what spurred this topic. Was like I was talking about how we were talking about what's my snack from Chris Pratt. Everybody loves. Well, most people love Chris Pratt. I love Chris Pratt, and he does this thing on Instagram where he shares what his snack of the day is, and it's usually
because he's starving.
It's like a cucumber wrap with like a little handful of tuna in it or something.
Right.
And it's like 80 calories, and he can only have like 4 of those a day. And it's crazy the regiments that they have these people in.
And
when
Chris Pratt was a former fat guy.
He was a pretty big dude. Remember Andy Dwyer from Parks and Rec? Like he wasn't like slim.
He wasn't fat. He just had a dad bod.
Yeah, I mean I have a dad bod too, but he was bigger than I was.
Yeah, I mean he was more like my type of body in Parks and Rec. I think.
Yeah, he was pretty big. Like there was a sequence where he was like training to become a cop in Parks and Rec, and he had his shirt off a couple of times in the show, and he's a pretty big dude. Like he was not like dad bod slim, like oh, you're kind of athletic, but you got a little bit of weight on you. No, he was a big dude.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
so just let it be known here. I have never been small. Never. I was a fucking 2X in 7th grade. True story. I was. I've never been a small dude. I used to be in a lot better shape, but I've always been able to carry and take the weight with no problem. You know, I could fucking run for miles. I could, you know, play football games. I mean, it's when I was younger and stuff. It was never a problem. And, you know, once you get older, you let yourself go, you get married, you kind of like not worry about it no more. And you kind of get to a point where you're like, okay, probably better take a look at this. But you know, I see like Whiskey Jack's in our chat. He wrote you know, like our other YouTubers, Ripa. He would say, you need to see it, Vader.
Mm-hmm.
He'd to shame you into action. You don't have to shame me in anything.
I try,
know.
but you call me a dick.
I know. I know I need to lose weight. And I've actually been working. I've lost a few pounds. You know, I am, like right now, I am meal prepping and counting calories.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also drinking whiskey and fucking shitty drinks here in the studio.
That's not shitty.
But
good for you.
You know, I know it's a thing.
I think you meant this one.
Oh, you mean the moonshine?
Those
no, but I think it's interesting how Hollywood sees big people. Like I feel like anybody who's
big, fat, funny.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like anybody who's naturally big, who just is physically a big person, they're like, oh, you're going to be a comedic actor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or they fit that mold, so they just take their career in that direction.
Right.
Because Hollywood wants to make fun of fat people.
Yeah, it seems like it's okay to do that, or it has been in the past. I don't know if it's changing or not, but like I see people who do that, and they fit that role, like John Candy and John Goodman and all these guys. Like they were classic comedic actors who worked in the 80s and 90s. And they were just big dudes.
Love John Goodman.
So
well, John Goodman's awesome.
John Goodman was just a big dude.
Yeah.
Never small, ever.
Mm-hmm.
And he was funny as hell. He was the 1970s version of Chris Farley.
Yeah. Chris Farley's another one.
Chris Farley's another one. You know, John Belushi. You know, I guess we got the SNL fat guy. So,
yeah.
You know, but
well, that's what's so interesting about the movie The Whale is that there are no tropes like that in the movie. It's not the fat guy's funny, and it's also not that the obese person is the saddest part of this movie. He's the most uplifting part of this movie. Everyone in his life is very much like, you have to take care of yourself. You're going to fucking die. And everyone's panicking around him because he's going to die. And he's still, throughout the entire movie, his daughter's a piece of shit. She's a 17-year-old fucking piece of shit. And through to the end of the movie, he's just like, I see how wonderful and amazing every single one of you people are. And he's the light of the movie.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's a nice change, though.
Yeah.
But I mean,
don't mistake Jude's take on this, because like even though the character that Brendan Fraser plays is ultimately like a very positive character, it's a very tragic story.
Absolutely.
It's a very depressing movie. Like at the end, there's like a switch where it's kind of uplifting if you really like dive into like the.
No, but what I'm saying
ending.
is that typically when you have a movie about like a morbidly obese person, and like this isn't really a spoiler because at the beginning of the movie we find out like this guy is in heart failure. He's let this go so long that now we know that he's a ticking clock. We know he's about to die.
Yeah, but I'm with Vader. Like when we first started watching The Whale, and like you guys haven't seen The Whale, but Jude and I sat down and watched it. I turned to Jude and I said, "This is my worst nightmare. This movie terrifies me because like it's very easy to end up like the character that Brendan Fraser plays in this movie, where basically he suffered some type of tragedy and he just let himself go.
Yeah.
And he just kept letting himself go. And throughout the movie, you see him kind of like binge eating to the point where he's like throwing up because like he can't deal with his emotions.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what I do.
Yeah.
You know,
I think a lot of overweight people do that.
I'm not going to go into the details. You guys know the story, but I'm not going to go into details on here. But 5 years ago, I lost 114 pounds.
I've seen the pictures.
It took me about a year.
Yeah.
I was looking good. I was on the fucking path. I was freaking powerlifting and dieting and exercising, and I was having a great time. Then I had some family issues. It's like some major, serious fucking family issues. And for some reason, something clicked in my brain, and I just want to eat.
Yeah, comfort food.
I'm a comfort eater.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
you still say that to me sometimes.
I came from a family. My grandma, God bless her. I love my grandma. She was, here's a cake. Mm-hmm. Here's a pie.
Yeah.
Here's cookies. This will make you feel better. Here's a chicken with stuffing and mashed potatoes and pork chops and fried gravy and stuff. And you're like, oh God, that's all great. And you know, I went back to food because food was like the only thing that made me feel better. It's like my cocaine.
Yeah.
It's my drug.
I've used the phrase
really
"eat my feelings"
It
before.
really is.
Yeah.
I do that. I'm very bottled up. Very bottled up, and it just all comes up. It comes up all at once.
Yeah.
Do you feel
but I eat it and I like it, and it gives me like an endorphin rush, and that's why in the last few years when I was going through all this shit, I put on 80 of that 100 pounds that I lost, and I'm not happy about it, and I'm finally back to a headspace now where I can start going back down the path.
Do you think a movie like The Whale?
I feel like a movie like this might.
If you were to watch it, would you?
I don't know what it would trigger,
you?
but I don't feel like I want to expose myself to that.
Yeah, I was right with Vader on that because like Jude had to drag me kicking and screaming to watch this movie.
Yeah.
And it was because of that fear, because not only is he like morbidly obese, like to the point where like he can't stand up under his own power.
Yeah.
But it's such a depressing movie in a lot of ways. Don't get me wrong, this movie was awesome. Like it was brilliant. Brendan Fraser deserved that Oscar like 1,000 times over.
I mean, some of the best movies are ones that are really uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah. And it was actually based on a stage play, and the whole movie feels like a play because it just happens in like one location. It's this guy's apartment. He's on the second floor of this building. He never leaves his apartment. And it's just like, it's a weird combination of like very hopeful optimism, but at the same time, it's about this guy who is a very tragic figure. He's very pathetic. He knows he's pathetic. And so like he's constantly struggling with these emotions where like he hates himself, and he hates the fact that like he was such a failure in life. But at the same time, he sees the best in everyone else, even the people who like there's a point where his ex-wife comes over and she basically talks about how evil their child is, their daughter. And he's like, she's not evil. Like she's so good. And he's the only one who sees the good in her. And yet she's been estranged from him for like, most of her life. And so like, he has to like win her over. And her interactions with him are so heartbreaking because like, she does come off like a piece of shit, but at the same time, she's just lashing out because she felt abandoned by him. And, the final scene of the film, it's such a weird scene because it's like, it's emotional and it's optimistic, but at the same time, it's like so tragic and like, and weird. It's hard to talk about this movie.
Why do you guys think some people out there were upset about Brendan Fraser being cast as this character?
Oh, well, because there's this weird fringe movement out there that thinks, if you're going to have a fat person, you should have a fat person play the role. If you're going to have
a trans person,
whatever.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I think that's the interesting thing too, is because I haven't heard a lot of people being like, you need to have a gay person be cast in this role, and he's also playing a gay person.
There's people out there that say that.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I haven't heard that.
Every niche has their little
Yeah.
advocate
But
group
it takes
that
the-
says,
Like, would you feel better? Like, let's just, it wasn't Brendan Fraser. It was, I don't know, John Goodman or something. Would you feel better about that movie?
Let me tell you that the bodysuit that Brendan Fraser wore in this movie to make it look like
it
he was
had to have
obese.
been 100 pounds.
Yeah, so it was at least 100 pounds. And he said that like he'd actually experienced vertigo at the end of the day when he had to get out of it because like he was carrying around so much weight. And he even said in an interview that, he can't imagine like how strong people who are actually that obese have to be just to like live, like move around. Like at a certain point, he gets like a wheelchair in the movie and he suddenly becomes mobile. And he's like, oh, this is pretty nice.
He even goes, wee.
Yeah. But I got to tell you, so the people who criticize this stuff don't know what acting is. They feel like representation is more important than entertainment. And when you watch this movie, you can't imagine anyone other than Brendan Fraser in this role.
He embodies this character.
He was so good in this. And Darren Aronofsky, the guy who directed this movie, who did his previous movie was Mother.
Oh, Mother was weird.
Yeah, Mother was weird.
That was, I couldn't finish
yeah,
it.
but he also was famous for doing this indie film called Pie and stuff like that. But he said that he spent 10 years trying to figure out who could play this part. And he saw Brendan Fraser in some independent film that he recently did, and it just clicked with him. He was like, Brendan Fraser is the only guy who could pull this off. because I think any other actor wouldn't have brought the vulnerability and the optimism.
Mm-hmm.
But like Fraser can also play tragic. Like he was so good in this movie. Like I can't tell you the last time I saw a performance that was this good.
Wow.
Yeah. In so many movies that are about a tragic figure, the movie does this trope where like it's everyone around him who like is so good they inspire him to be better, and this flips it. Like everyone around him is super flawed.
Mhm.
Like even his like best friend Liz, she's a nurse and she helps take care of him, but she's even flawed because I don't know if we should spoil too much, but it turns out like she has a special connection to his past, and she's like dealing with a trauma, and his ex-wife is like an alcoholic and she's dealing with trauma from him leaving her, and like everyone around him is so fucking flawed, and he is the center of it, and he's the only one who has any optimism, and he's the most tragic character.
And what's crazy about Liz is like she's his nurse and she keeps telling him that he needs to go to the hospital and needs to take care of himself, but at the same time she's delivering like 12-inch meatball subs to him, you know, for him to eat. And like getting back to kind of like the controversy surrounding this film, like I don't think you can find someone who's truly obese that could have performed as good as Brendan Fraser. And that's kind of like the crux of the issue here is that, you know, you can't teach people how to be good actors, but you can take good actors and transform them so that they fit a role.
My question would be, how many 600-pound actors
There's probably not
are there?
that many. I mean,
I can't think of a single one.
The health trend that's been going on lately that you see a lot of these actors like Jonah Hill, who's famously a big guy in like Superbad, and they lose all the weight. And Kevin Smith, same thing. Like
Rebel Wilson.
Rebel Wilson.
The guy
They're all like,
who's the guy from the football movie? He's the body. He's like the powerlifter now.
Ethan.
Oh,
Ethan
yeah.
Suppley, yes. Yeah. Same thing.
He's a fucking animal.
He's a savage, dude.
I love that guy.
Personally, I find it super encouraging when I see these actors like get out of that typecast and go and get themselves healthy, because that means they'll be around longer to perform.
But you know what's weird is like when these actors who you've kind of like come to associate with being fat lose weight, in a weird way, it takes away from like their talent. Like for instance, Rebel Wilson.
Yeah.
She looks great now, and it's great that she's healthy, but she was so much funnier when she was fat.
I don't know.
Okay, picture this. Picture Chris Farley loses 200 pounds. And you want to watch
a lot of
you want to watch
the thing about Chris Farley
movie where he's not thin?
Here's the thing about him though. A lot of his comedy stems from his physical performance as a big guy.
Absolutely.
If you take that away, his comedy might not be the same. But Jude and I had a really interesting conversation yesterday about
At college.
at college, when we went to college together.
That's what college is for.
Yeah.
And we had a really interesting conversation about these
philosophical with your liberal professors.
No, that's not what's happening. Just trust me. No, about like actors who are like typically big and typecast as big, funny characters. When they lose the weight, I was like, I wonder. Like Kay just said, his opinion is they're less funny. But Jude, you made a great point when you were talking to me about it. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think it comes down to branding. When you start off in Hollywood and your brand is being the big funny guy, that's what you get cast as. And when people are casting for something else and you look completely different, like people in casting rooms aren't always like, oh yeah, they look like this now. I'm sure they can pull off this completely different role. They just look at a headshot and go, no, he's not right for this. He's the fat funny guy. And so I'm not going to cast him for that without, too much information behind it.
Hollywood loves typecasting.
Yeah.
Like they don't, most casting directors, they like having like a very easy thing that they can categorize people and send to like these different.
It's your brand.
Productions.
Can I not lose weight? Am I if I come here in a year and I'm not the fat funny guy anymore, am I in trouble?
No.
Because that's what he did. He goes, man, you could be the fat funny guy on the show.
You could just be the funny guy.
I never said
You could just be the funny guy. It's okay. No, I encourage you to get healthy as much as possible. And I do the same. You know, I don't feel any different about Rebel Wilson. Like she was in that movie where recently it was on Netflix. Unfortunately, the movie wasn't that great.
Oh, is it the one where she's in a coma?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a teenager. She goes into a coma, and when she wakes up, she's an older kid, but she still has the memories of a high school student. So she has to go back to high school.
What about Melissa McCarthy in the Heavyweight?
It was a Thunder.
See that movie, the Thunder Force or whatever.
Thunder Force.
That movie is annoying as shit.
Yeah.
It's
got some funny moments.
Not really.
Yeah, the crab. Come on, dude. Jason Bateman as the crab guy.
Yes, skinny Jason Bateman.
Yeah,
it's not a funny movie.
Okay.
And the only gimmick is that
they're fat.
Is these two fat.
That's
chicks.
the whole joke. Is that they're fat? It's
that,
called Thunder Force.
I get it. But is that
I'm gonna butter Vader.
Yeah. Well, that's even the joke too. Is like fat people love food. Here, let's butter your boyfriend up. Like,
she literally eats raw chicken.
It's
in the
gross.
movie.
It's gross, but it's all based on this person's fat. Let's make fun of it.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I do like self-deprecating humor. I do it all the time.
Sure.
I love it. It's really funny.
You're your harshest critic.
Yeah, but there was just
I would never say the shit about you that you say about yourself.
There was something about that movie that just I didn't like, and I've never been able to really.
Well, what about?
But I think it's just because I have a disdain for Melissa McCarthy. I don't think she's funny.
Okay, so it's a humor thing. It's not the fat joke thing.
But I also think that they went way too hard with the fat thing. You know, it's one of the movies that just I don't want to watch. It annoys me. It was bad. It was poorly written, poorly constructed.
Yeah. Well, there's a difference
and they took the gimmick too far.
Because John Candy is a big dude, and he's classically funny, but his humor was more situational. It didn't really have anything to do with him being a big guy.
No.
Like, Uncle Buck was hilarious. It doesn't have anything to do with the fact that he's a big dude. It's just a funny movie.
But John Candy made his size part of his humor.
Yeah, Walter from the Lebowski. Like, you can't see Walter as basically... Like, imagine... Steve Buscemi switches places with the roles with Walter. So now Steve Buscemi is Walter. It doesn't work.
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
It doesn't work. And the big guy, and what if
shut the fuck up?
What if What if Goodman was Donnie?
John Goodman. Yeah, he's good. I like him.
I like him too.
But
I'm just
he fluctuates a lot too.
The body type feeds into the humor in some situations, and in other ones like that where they go too far, and it's just all just about freaking fat.
But John Goodman's a good example because like he lost a lot of weight recently, but he doesn't feel right when you see him in movies because you're just so used to like the big John Goodman, and it's a weird dichotomy because you want these people to be healthy and you want them to live a good life, but at the same time you're just kind of like, oh, I miss the fat version.
Yeah,
branding.
I don't know how long we're going to go on about this, but I do want to talk about this stupid trend that's going on out there.
What's that?
Right now? That whole
representation,
that whole fat acceptance movement bullshit that's happening with that fat cow Lizzo. You've
touched on it already.
I hate it.
It's not healthy.
It's
not healthy.
I hate it. It's not healthy. It's sending a terrible message to people.
Yeah.
Being fat is not good.
There's a difference though between
but hating yourself is not good.
Yeah, you don't have to hate yourself.
You don't want to hate
yourself. I think that's the message: is that no matter what your size is, you shouldn't hate yourself.
But you need to have the mindset that this is not a healthy way to live,
and that you can improve,
and that you can improve it.
Yeah. Well, Lizzo's taking it a little bit farther, where she's trying to make fat like a sex symbol.
It's not
type thing.
It's not good.
Yeah.
It's just it sends the wrong message to these kids out there. I don't like it. I don't. And
I tend to agree with you.
Well, I don't know what else to really say about it.
No, I understand what you're saying because
it's the wrong message.
You have daughters,
I do.
and you wouldn't want that message get into their head to be like, but you don't also want them to hate themselves.
Everybody in my family struggles with weight issues. Every single one of them, and it's just it is what it is. It's just.
So when I walked in with the pillow under my shirt, I'm not skinny.
I'm like,
I have a dad bod, but I'm making a joke about actors who put on fat suits because we're talking about Brendan Fraser. But there's a couple other ones that I personally, these movies are top quality humor for me. So like Ryan Reynolds in Just Friends when he's a younger kid. I love that movie. And it's so funny. And even Schmidt from New Girl, if you guys watch that TV show.
That's great.
Fat Schmidt is amazing.
Fat Schmidt is
and then Skinny Shit is even funnier. Like, it works sometimes.
It's mono time.
And I'm wondering.
Fat Monica on Friends.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes it works.
Yeah.
I don't know what exactly it is about those movies that I'm like, it's okay to make fun of that situation.
I don't have a problem with fat people being funny because a lot of them are. It's kind of what we have to do because we can't do a lot of other stuff. But I just feel like when it comes to this whole movement out there right now, I just think it sends a bad message. I don't know how else to really say it.
But what's weird is that like when Hollywood does try to put fat people in different roles, and I'm not talking about Brendan Fraser here. I'm talking about like for for a while in the early 2000s, late 90s, there was this martial artist named Sammo Hung, who was like the fat martial artist guy. He was fat, but he could do pretty much anything that Jackie Chan could.
Like Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah, pretty much.
I love Kung Fu Panda.
But just recently, like in John Wick 4, they have this guy in a fat suit. He plays like a German assassin. He's this big fat guy with gold teeth, and he's sitting there like doing like high kicks against like John Wick, and it just looks so
He
so
was
fake.
John Wick fat bastard.
Yeah. He was fat. He was the John Wick version of fat bastard. But he was doing like all these like fight moves that just like no fat guy could ever pull off.
Yeah.
And it felt so disingenuous.
I totally agree with you. Like this is spoiler alert, but this podcast won't come out for a couple weeks after it's recorded. But yeah, that scene in particular was like, that's so dumb. But then I watched a movie. Did you guys see Central Intelligence with The Rock and Kevin Hart? Remember The Rock, they wasn't a fat suit. They had a different actor play the fat version of The Rock, and they just like superimposed his face.
They deep faked him.
They deep faked the face. But that movie had that actor doing like backflips and stuff like that, and obviously they were probably strung up on some kind of a rigging system or something like that.
That's Chris Farley.
But it was it's a comedy, not an action movie, so it was different. Like I thought that was really funny. I thought that movie was really funny, and I'm like, okay, cool. And the same thing happens with like Fat Bastard Mike Myers when they're like, oh, I've got a rules bud for you. And he like does the flip over the bathtub. Like
he teeters on gross though.
But
like
that's
between funny and
that's
gross.
His brand. That's that brand.
Fat Bastard has always made me feel a little weird. I laugh every time.
Yeah.
But yet the fat guy in me is like, how dare you?
Right? Yeah.
Get in my belly. it's like
baby, the other white's meat.
I want to eat you. Get in my belly. It's like, no, stop.
I mean, the character's literally called Fat Bastard.
I mean, how offensive can you be?
But that's another like fat suit scenario where Mike Myers got in like a fat suit to play that character.
So it's like I'm not offended by it at all. In fact, it makes me laugh. But like, there's something in the back of my brain. It's like,
son of a bitch.
You know what I mean? It's just, but I could have played that.
There's
role.
The next one I was going to talk about is a very interesting one because I happen to have seen a couple of the behind the scenes interviews and stuff like that. And I didn't even realize it was her until recently. But Gwyneth Paltrow and Jack Black's Shallow Hal.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys seen this or not, but there's an interview with her, or there's some kind of a behind the scenes like documentary about this movie.
When she went out in the fat suit.
She went out in public in the fat suit, and she was like, people looked at me so weird. And
well, she said like nobody even looked at her. People avoided eye contact with her.
Was that what it was
that
she said? Okay, maybe I'm misquoting it.
She said like, when I go out, people are always looking at me, making eye contact with me, smiling at me, engaging with me.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's just like an attractive person thing. Like you go out and people are smiling at you because you're pretty and people like pretty. And then when you
put on
go out in your fat suit, people avoid looking at you because they're uncomfortable with it.
Maybe there's another thing too, is like when my kids are looking around and they see somebody, I'm like, don't freaking stare at them. Like that's the thing. Like, don't stare at that person. That might make them feel uncomfortable. But if they're a freaking gorgeous model, you're like, oh, damn, look at that. It's a different mentality.
She's got legs.
Right? She's got legs all the way to heaven. Goddamn.
But if you guys notice, it's like up until this situation with Brendan Fraser winning the Oscar, no one cared if thinner actors put on fat suits to play like fat people, especially
because he won the Oscar,
especially morbidly obese people. Did you see that clip of him getting the 6-minute standing ovation?
I did. At Cannes.
At the Cannes Film Festival,
and he was crying,
and it brought tears to his eyes. Like God, after seeing that movie, like,
I was crying.
I was getting teary eyed. Like I could understand why he got that ovation. Like he was so good.
But also his speech too, where he's telling people that if you are in that situation like the character in this movie was, there's still hope for it. Like he's putting out a very positive message to those people that he was representing in this movie. He wasn't going like, oh, look at me, I'm freaking so fantastic, I'm such a good actor. No, he's like literally like, this is for you, I'm trying to help you guys out or whatever.
But you know what's funny is that it's not the fact that he was playing a fat person that won him the Oscar. It's the fact that he was playing a gay fat person. Because gay bait is Oscar bait essentially.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
I didn't know that was a thing either.
Oh yeah, if you want to win an Oscar, you just play a gay character.
Really?
How gay is he?
Wait, hold on. Did Ethan? What's his name?
Is he like making out with other dudes?
No, but like the tragedy that he experienced was that basically he fell in love with one of his male students as a professor at a college, and he
leaves his wife.
Yeah, he leaves his family for this guy, and then the guy tragically dies, and he spirals into like this depression and basically like eats his feelings to the point
Alright.
where
Yeah.
like he becomes morbidly obese.
And he says like early on in the movie, like I was always a big guy. I was never a skinny guy.
Yeah, I know
Like,
that.
and so then when that happened, I let this get out of control, and
Yeah.
now here we are.
Yeah, I have the metabolism of a sloth, so it wouldn't be hard for me to go down that path.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah,
for
but
sure.
it's not like he's sitting there making out with dudes the entire movie or anything like that. It's just that
Yeah,
like it's a part of his character and it's part of his backstory.
that's fine.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that we were talking about earlier about like just characters who are well written. When you write a character that the purpose of his character is that, you know, putting a representation for like this has to be gay, 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 gay.
Yeah.
And
I've-
it's just so forceful, and when you do that, you can't write a really well-rounded character.
but-
Like when you have a very well-written character and that character is also gay, this is how you create the appropriate representation that you want to get.
Yeah, but if you look at like the past Oscar winners, like look at how many of those movies have to do with either like gay characters or gay issues. And it's like most of them are winners. And so like if you want to win an Oscar or increase the odds of winning an Oscar, make them gay.
I don't pay any attention to
Yeah,
Oscars.
I don't
I have
know.
no idea.
We're talking about fat people, not gay people.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Um,
I get it. I just got to have your little hook.
so
You got to have your little check boxes.
just to
I
kind of
understand.
put it, because we usually do a little bit of comedy in this, and I want to make sure that we're going like this is a pretty heavy topic.
Yeah,
No
sure.
pun intended. Sorry, I didn't. mean to-
Pretty heavy
Fuck.
topic.
I'm done. All right, I'm gonna go away. I apologize.
We
I
need
didn't
some, we
mean
need
to
some
do that.
heavy. Now that we found love, what
Yeah.
are we gonna do?
The last.
That's heavy D and the boys.
I like it when we have these interesting conversations.
It's
It
interesting. It's
is.
interesting. But I also want to like one of the reasons why I started this podcast was to provide an escape for people who wanted to get away with, away from topics that are just overblown in the zeitgeist. But
Nobody else is talking about fatties in Hollywood right
you don't think so?
now.
I think
I'm
that's
sure they are all are now.
Yeah.
Right.
Hollywood with a side of fat.
Just put
Yeah.
some butter on that.
Get your bacon sandwich.
Oh, I went. I'm gonna probably cut this out, but I went to the freaking grocery store, and they have like a little deli counter there,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Oh, I wanted a turkey bacon club sandwich."
Oh yeah.
And I was sitting there, and I was like distracted. I had my boys with me, and I was like, "Can I get a turkey baby bacon?" I mean, shit. They're like, "What do you want? Turkey baby." Turkey bacon club, please. And the guy just looked at me for a second, like,
You want me to put a baby in it?
I want my turkey, baby.
"Give me the turkey baby."
Put that white meat on my sandwich.
I felt like an idiot when I said that. But anyway, to polish up this conversation with a little bit of humor, I just want to talk about a couple of the actors that we know of that just stopped giving a shit.
Ooh.
Steven Seagal is at the top of that
I
pyramid.
just thought about
That
him.
freaking guy was like
Yeah.
peak physical condition. He was doing all these kung fu
Was
movies,
he?
kicking
Was
ass.
he ever
He's like,
peak?
I'm gonna move to Russia and get
And
real
then,
fat.
and then he was just like, boom, and he just stopped giving a shit.
Like he's so fat, he doesn't even stand up in his movies anymore. He'll
Mhm,
just like sit down
mhm.
in a chair and
Or-
do his performance.
Or when he'll have people come towards him for a fight scene, he just won't move. He'll just do his little hand thing, and then they go
Yes.
flying. It's just
They have the bad guys like fall towards him so that he can
could just
chop him and not have to get out of his chair.
Yeah, can you guys actually think of like a fat action star?
Okay. No. I can't.
Guess
Not off the top
not.
of my head.
It's because we run out of
But like,
if we have to run out of breath. You have to take a lot of breath.
Yeah,
What
Can I
about-
Google it?
What about
like other than Steven Seagal?
Yokozuna.
I don't know. No, I mean they got the sumo. Well, we saw the sumo wrestler guys. Those dudes are pretty savage. Like,
But they're not action stars.
No, but they were like side characters. They're like muscle. If you want muscle in a
Yeah,
movie,
but,
So what
but
was-
they
there
don't
was-
count. They don't count.
There was
They
the
don't
one
count?
fat guy that John Wick killed in like Wick 2, right?
I don't
Stabbed him like
remember.
87 times.
I don't remember. I can't get the freaking idiot and John Wick 4 out
Yeah.
of my head. I don't think I can. No, I can't.
I'm
think
not
of
getting
any.
anything on Google.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this though. You put somebody on this list because you did the show notes for this episode, and you put Russell Crowe in there. How
Yeah.
dare you?
Dude, he's
How-
working up.
But he's good at everything he
Yeah,
does.
well, he is. He's getting older.
I don't see
His
that.
metabolism is
he's
slowed
getting-
down.
Getting older is different.
Just say that thin Russell Crowe had like a certain level of
Yeah.
awesomeness to him that fat Russell Crowe just doesn't. I mean, the roles that he's taken as Fat Russell Crowe are nowhere near
Zeus.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, that doesn't count. That movie sucked. That doesn't count. That's
Should put
just,
Shatner on that list.
The Pope.
You should put Shatner on that list.
The Pope's Exorcist.
That looks good.
Looks
I'm not gonna
wow.
watch it, but it looks good.
I want to see that.
Don't take me. I don't want to see that shit.
Don't be pussy, man.
But I mean, the movie looks good. He looks good in it. I don't think Russell Crowe's performances.
Name one good Russell Crowe movie where he's been fat.
I haven't seen. He hasn't been working.
I don't
that
have
much.
the index of all of his movies.
I mean, he did that
Maybe
one.
He hasn't been working that much because he's not in shape for it.
No, but he did that one movie
Master
where he was
and
a
Commander?
road rage. Master and Commander. He wasn't fat in that movie.
I
He was a
haven't
badass
watched
movie
it.
though. No, he did that one movie. It's like a road rage thing where everybody that I heard said it was really good. I just never got a
I
chance
don't
to
think I've
watch
seen
it.
it.
He was like some kind of. I mean, I
don't even know what it
I
is.
think they painted him as some kind of a MAGA Republican dude or something like that, and he was like some asshole on the road.
Those goddamn MAGA.
The goddamn MAGAs.
MAGA Republicans.
Fucking it. It's just big bearded
They're
dude.
ticker jibs.
Personally, just because I can't name one does not mean I think Russell Crowe's performances have gone downhill since he's gotten older.
I don't even consider Russell Crowe a fat actor.
I feel like he's just given up though. Like he doesn't put in the same amount of effort that he did when he was younger.
He doesn't have to.
He doesn't have to. But that brings up Marlon Brando.
Oh,
because
he just got huge.
I hear nothing but, oh my God, Marlon Brando's so amazing. And I'm like, every movie I've seen him in, he's been a lazy piece of shit. And I don't see the streetcar named Desire.
Kal-El, my son.
My son.
He needs to go back to Krypton.
Shit. Put the lines on the baby's diaper so I can read it. I don't know what my lines are. I'm not a good actor. My dog is a better actor. He pretends to like me. Like just
Marlon Brando is the perfect example of an actor who just stopped giving a fuck.
Yeah,
put on all this weight, just didn't memorize his lines.
Yeah, I've seen the still shots. I just like
Finn Brando was amazing.
Yeah.
All right, I'll
Fat
take your word
Brando
for it.
Less amazing.
I mean, he wasn't like everybody thinks of him.
Look at that chiseled jaw.
Everybody thinks about him in Godfather.
Sure.
You know, that's an iconic character for him.
When he was getting older.
But even then, he still refused to memorize his lines and put any effort into his movie.
You just got to do what.
Because by then he was already Brando.
He was Brando, I guess.
He's like De Niro.
Stella.
De Niro's getting skinnier.
De Niro just, I'm gonna be Robert De
But
Niro.
Elizabeth Taylor was the same way. Like she was a knockout when she was younger, and then like she got fat and she started selling perfume.
She had some back surgeries.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
That
medications mess with you.
Yeah,
too.
and that makes you gain weight.
Yeah.
All right, so the whale's good.
Whale's good.
Hollywood fatties need to be treated with more respect. And what else we got?
Just let actors be actors.
Let actors be actors.
Don't feel bad for making skinny people get put in fat suits.
But
I don't care.
I mean, aren't there like situations where like you had actors who like put on some weight? It doesn't even have to be like a lot of weight.
Alex said yesterday he was like, "Well, Christian Bale would have put on the weight for it."
Dude, can you imagine?
That guy would have gained 300 pounds, no problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
Yeah, you can't give Christian Bale those kind of roles.
But that's also really unhealthy.
Yeah,
like
Christian Bale's a crazy person.
I felt weird for Jared Leto when he put on 50 pounds to be that serial killer guy.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Was that Denzel Washington movie?
Yeah. Yeah. It was just like.
That's somebody else who has not been affected by weight gain in his older age.
Yeah.
Denzel Washington's still freaking
Denzel keeping it tight.
Yeah,
Still
he's
Denzel.
Yeah.
Keeping it warm.
And I think that's the thing about Hollywood too, is that like there is this whole like, body positivity, embrace who you are, love yourself, and that's great. But also, Hollywood doesn't give a shit about you.
Yeah, no.
And if
you're a product.
If the studio wants you to have a 500-calorie diet, the studio, not your doctor, puts you on a 500-calorie diet. And if the studio wants you to drop 30 pounds because we film next week, the studio makes you do that.
You know, these people sign those contracts knowing full
they do.
well
They do. But I do want to defend
the studio.
Oh God, that sounds terrible. But
I mean,
yes, in a way.
Can't wait for this.
I don't know if it's the studio themselves or if it's just part of the contract that the actors sign. A lot of the times they do have nutritionists and doctors who go along the path with these actors to make sure that they're maintaining.
It's like Robert Pattinson refusing to work out.
Piece of shit that guy is.
But like Tom Hanks in Castaway, where like he had to like be on this like really regimented doctor's care.
So they had to film all the skinny stuff first, and then he had to quickly gain the weight back in order to film the rest of the movie.
Was it quick? I don't know if it was quick or not.
It wasn't quick.
It wasn't. Yeah, I thought they took some time. Like they took like a 6-month break for him to gain weight, and then they came back and shot the end of the movie. But anyway, what I'm saying is, I don't necessarily want to say that they make you do it and you have to do it and you're by yourself and you have no like coaching or anything like that. These guys have top-notch nutritionists and coaches that go along with them and say, okay, eat this, this, and this. Work out during these times,
but
it, get you in the peak
it is a fact
shape.
that like if you're not like thin and muscular, like it can hurt your career in Hollywood. Like Vin Diesel, you ever see the fat Vin Diesel?
Yeah,
pics?
I love fat Vin Diesel.
I'm really.
But
I'm looking forward to seeing Chris Hemsworth in this upcoming Hulk Hogan biopic. And I know he doesn't get like fat, but he gets huge.
But speaking of Chris Hemsworth, though, like, do you remember the outrage about Fat Thor in Endgame?
Oh,
yeah,
I love Fat Thor.
I love Fat Thor.
Yeah, but like every woman came out and was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Every woman.
I want to see muscular Chris Hemsworth.
This is real life Thor.
Yes, Jude. He literally meant every woman on the planet was like, "What the fuck is this?" No, that was interesting. I do remember everybody being like, "Oh, I freaking hate Fat Thor. Let's keep him skinny and strong." And I'm like, I thought Fat Thor was funny. I thought it was cool.
You reminded me of the dude.
I like that he didn't magically lose weight in the final act.
And I like that there was also a message about depression in the Fat Thor thing, where he felt like he had failed and he let himself go. Something triggered in his brain, and he ate his feelings. That's a whole message right there in that movie. That is exactly what you said at the beginning of this podcast.
Yeah,
I think it was an important message.
Look, this is going to sound really simple, but there's only really one way to lose weight, and that's you have to burn more than you take in.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be here.
Mm-hmm.
When I lost 114 pounds, I was here. I was dialed in. It's all I thought about. I don't know if I could do that in this and have my job at the same time. I don't think I could do it like I did before.
Or you can have the other kind of depression where you can't eat.
Yeah, I don't know.
Binge and purge.
It's
no, that's bulimia.
Yeah.
You can read minds.
But
that's a Zoolander reference.
Oh, I love you for that.
Anyway, all right. Well, I don't want to dive too deep into this topic. I mean, we already did, but what I'm saying is I don't want to like leave off on a bummer note. But I would encourage everybody to get healthy as best as you can.
For sure.
But do you guys think that there's like a dichotomy in Hollywood where if you have like a morbidly obese Oscar-winning, character like Brendan Fraser's character in The Whale, Hollywood's like, yeah, that's cool, but like they're not going to try to normalize like obesity by putting like really fat actors in leading roles in like their movies.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't believe that'll happen.
I don't think there are any really.
I don't
fat
think
actors.
Hollywood is capable of that type of change.
Roseanne's not even fat anymore.
I think there are just outrage groups that thrive on being outraged.
Yeah. It's what do you always call it? A loud minority or something like that.
The small
vocal minority. Yeah, I think so too. Well, that was an interesting topic.
Purple hair.
Yeah.
Let us know, guys.
Moral of the story: we love Brendan Fraser.
We love Brendan Fraser.
He can do anything.
Yeah, he can do anything. I hope
we're Team Renaissance.
Yeah,
definitely.
for sure. I hope he makes another mummy movie.
I need him and John Travolta to make a movie together.
Yeah.
Called Comeback Kids.
Comeback Kids.
All right, cool. And again, I encourage everybody, if you're dealing with any kind of a health issue, get it taken care of. Get yourself in a good body space, good mind space. Take care of yourself. Live a long, happy life. And be happy. V, final thoughts for the people out there.
Oh, final thoughts. I don't know, man. Live your life. Enjoy life. If you're fat, lose a little weight. You'll be happier. I don't know what else to say.
It does improve your mood.
It does.
It does for sure. I feel completely different when I go through like the 6-week training thing that I do once in a while.
Yeah.
Because I get too much of a dad bod and then I get depressed and I'm like, I feel like shit. And then I go and I work my ass off for 6 weeks. I'm all right.
It's just baby
It makes
steps.
a difference. It
Gotta
makes
do
a
the
difference.
baby steps.
Yeah.
5 pounds, 10 pounds.
Yep.
Take a crap, lose 5 pounds.
I routinely will say at Kadish, I'm so hungry.
Yeah.
And then I'll say, what's my snack?
What's my snack? Right on.
I miss those. I miss
do
those
too.
little videos.
I do too. Jude, final thoughts.
I don't know what to say. I think I said everything that I wanted to say. I love Brendan Fraser. I really love this movie. Also, I never need to watch it again. It was a hard watch, but it took me through the roller coaster of emotions, and I am good now.
Right on. Kadish, final thoughts?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you guys, can you think of like your favorite movie where a fat person is in the lead, like leading role?
Anything with Jack Black. I love Jack Black movies. He's a big dude. He owns the fact that he's a big guy, and he's just freaking awesome.
Tommy Boy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Jude?
I can't think of any. I really liked Dumplin'. I don't know. I don't know.
How about Mall Cop?
Oh,
No.
dude.
Paul Blart.
What's his name? James. God, what's his? I can't remember the actor's name.
I love all Steven Seagal's new stuff.
But yeah, that actor's really good.
So he's getting all buff again too.
Is he?
Yeah.
Good for him. Did you see his movie where he went and joins the UFC and he gets all jacked?
No.
Yeah. I can't remember what the name of it is, but he's a school teacher. He's trying to earn money for his school, so he joins the UFC. It's good. It's a good movie.
Cool. I'll check it out.
Kadish, what about you? What's your favorite movie with a large actor?
So I think my brain instantly goes to Who's Harry Crumb. I loved that movie growing up.
Harry Crumb.
Yeah, it's a John Candy film, and he plays a master of disguise private detective. And it's probably my all-time favorite John Candy film. And so, like, when I think of, movies starring fat actors, like, my brain just goes there.
Uncle Buck is up there for me
Uncle
too.
Buck.
I love.
Oh, I love Uncle Buck.
Trains, Planes, Automobiles.
Yeah, Trains, Planes, Automobiles.
Spaceballs. Yeah.
You don't like Spaceballs?
I don't.
Liar.
But I like
Lies.
John Candy.
Lies. All right, guys, that's it for the podcast. Thank you so much for watching. Let us know what you think of our new strategy here. We're doing some more topical things. We're not just doing movie reviews. We're doing kind of like pop culture discussions and stuff like that. If you like this, let us know. If you don't like us, if you don't like this, let us know also. We need the feedback to see where we take this podcast on our next adventure. Yeah, thank you guys so much. Join our Salty Nerd Podcast Club at Patreon, saltynerdclub.com. We're doing Star Trek The Original Series commentaries every single week. They drop on Mondays, and we are having...
This one was a doozy.
This one was a bit weird. The one that dropped however many weeks ago this was, but yeah, it's Captain Kirk's kind of a crazy guy, so join us.
Kind of a creepy guy.
It's very horny.
All right, and V, what do you guys got going on Saturdays?
Oh, Saturdays we just have our normal crew, me, Matt, and Brian, and our rotating guest of crazies that come in, and we just talk about what's trending in Star Trek and Star Wars, and we have a good old time.
Right on.
Have a good old time.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this podcast. Stay tuned next week. We'll talk about another fantastic discussion. As always, have fun watching movies this week. Stay salty.